Hey guys, so I'm back. We just had dinner. My dad chose for actually we all had the same thing, but I know it's probably going to be a shocker to you all. But my dad's choice of dinner tonight was steak. We had steak, some grilled potatoes, and garlic bread. Um, and I don't typically eat steak. Actually, I don't really. I don't. I mean, I will say I prefer chicken or pork over beef any day. But I chose the steak was actually quite good. It was very lean and it wasn't overcooked. So but I actually wanted to come on since I've got many things tonight to actually show you guys. I mean, I um I have many things that I would like to talk about. One is the map that all of you have heard about that is in Hunter Call of the Wild. Um, Now, it came out on the 16th, which I do have my phone, unless I left it in, or it could be behind my, yep, it's behind my tablet. But the new hunting reserve just released on Hunter Call of the Wild. So this is another, obviously, those of you that know, it is a reserve in Peru, but it connects with the Amazon. So there's a big connection between the, so basically two regions into one. Because there is truth and fact that the Andes Mountains is actually the mountain range is actually connected somehow to the Amazon rainforest. And but we so we actually have indeed the newest map, which is Peru. um but there is, and I will state this, there is 10 new species now. There is 14 species or animals in this map, different species. Four we already have in other maps, and then there is 10. So the 10 exclusive animals are ones you can only find on this new map. And that, but there's a total of 14 animals, and the other four are animals you can find in other reserves. So we got 10 new animals that aren't available on any other reserve except for this one, which we will go over those animals first. Um, but and I will show you all these animals because they're all very unique. Um, Actually, you know what? Maybe we'll talk about the four that aren't. Let's, I guess, talk about the ones that are already in the map first, and we'll save the ones that are exclusive to this map. Because the four that they have already in other maps also were included in this one. But there's, as I said, this is really cool. Call of the Wild. New map. So the DLC released on June 16th. So let's go back to the um so Actually, we'll just go through them. But here are the new species in the DLC. Of course, we have the jaguar, the South American tapir, the speckled bear, aka the Andean bear. Now each of these animals. Actually, I'll be right back. I gotta go use the bathroom. But excuse me. Um, but we have so the list, I feel like in the with the new species, there is one animal on this list I definitely feel very uncomfortable. I mean, I wouldn't say it's bad. I would say it's very uncomfortable for me to see this animal as an animal you can hunt. Um, but we have so the South American tapir. Now, there's two species of tapir in the world. There's the Malayan tapir, which inhabits Asia, and then there's the South American tapir, which inhabits South America. The Malayan tapir is much different than its counterpart. They are black and white, um, whereas the South American tapir are more of a brown, and they have like this mane. But tapirs are really social animals, surprisingly. But that nose actually is used to smell. But they actually are very social in zoos, meaning that good zookeepers, that take care of them. I mean, tapirs they're like a dog. They love to get belly rubs. They're very social. I will say you do not want to swim with them. Let's just say if you happen to see South American tapirs or a Malaysian tapir in a zoo and you see a big pool and somebody asks you, do you want to swim with the tapirs? Let's just say they will poop. I mean, like just like any animal, but the thing is, you don't want to swim in the water in their pools because they will shit in there many times, poop, use the bathroom. So, I mean, they'll cover that whole pool. Other than that, tapirs are very social animals, and they're very playful. I've seen them in zoos interact. Um, Tapirs are definitely a huge um they're a huge I don't know which ones are bigger, but South American tapirs, as I said, are much more, I will say, well, their environment kind of matches the Malayan tapir, but I'll show you guys a picture of the. Um, South American. But yeah, they're also known as the Brazilian or lowland tapir, and they're the largest native land mammal in the Amazon. Um, Obviously, the giant rodent goes to the capybara, which we'll get to. But this is a South American tapir. Now, these guys look very unique, but they're like their counterpart, the Malaysian tapir. You definitely can tell them apart. Um, I would love to own a tapir, but I wouldn't. If I got a kiddie pool for, I would not go in it, especially knowing this animal uses the bathroom. Where and then next up we have the jaguar. Now, obviously, since we're talking about the Amazon, the jaguar I feel like was one of the many animals that couldn't be ignored. It's such a signature animal in this map. That I will say I feel like really I will say it wouldn't make sense to leave out the jaguar at all. But the animal that I will say I am uncomfortable with being in the game as a huntable animal is a speckled bear. Now, many people that know about this bear, they're incredibly shy, and they live in the woodlands in the within the Andes mountains. So these bears are very shy and don't come out at all as much, but they don't even want to be around people. They're one of the many bears that don't fool with people. They're rather timid and want to avoid people. And they are critically endangered, but they are known also as the Andean bear. I for one love these big. This is actually my under my top five favorite species of bear in the world. But actually, number two is the speckled bear for me. Just how, I mean, they're definitely under the smaller size of a bear. I think they come close next to a sloth bear, but what's really cool about the speckled bear is that their ancestors come from the short-faced bear. There was many species of bear in the Paleocene, um, but they are actually the current and their ancestors follow the short-faced bear, which is very unique and interesting. But the speckled bear is a bear for me that I feel like I would. It wouldn't be an animal I would necessarily hunt first on this map. I do plan to buy this map, but just seeing these guys, walk by me or maybe even getting a warning call, me, I mean, I'm just gonna sit there and admire it and listen. Um, our next animal is the vicuna. Vicuna. So these animals are the wild ancestors of alpacas. So we do have a camel related species in the game. But as I said, the vicuna, they are, as I said, they're the wild. So you, again, alpacas are domesticated, whereas these guys are their wild counterparts. They're their wild ancestors. Um, but it will be really awesome. Now, again, they already set the Great One species, which is a jaguar, but I'm hoping they have more great ones on the map, especially like a Great One vicuna. Maybe even a tapir, I think would be really cool. Our next animal is another animal that was announced along with the jaguar, the capybara, which is the world's largest rodent. Now these rodents, people do domesticate these animals. They're and you'll see them in exotic zoos, but they're like people often state that they're your jumbo sized guinea pig or I mean, I wouldn't really consider them hamsters. Definitely like a guinea pig. But capybaras, I will say they're very aquatic rodents, meaning that they do spend some of their time in the water and other times out of the water. Um, but the thing is, it will, I mean, they are prey, I mean, they're an easy prey source for other carnivorous animals like jaguars, ocelots. Um, but some of these animals are very, I'm glad they selected these animals. But the capybara, and there's even a mission where you're accompanied by somebody who owns a capybara. It's one of the main missions in the reserves. I can't remember what they call him, but he's got like a sombrero hat on. But our next animal we just mentioned is an ocelot. Now, ocelots are a big cat. They are, they are, so as I said, they actually surprisingly, are animals that also will go after alpacas and llamas. Um, and I really want to know how they hunt them because like they're a lot smaller than a jaguar. But those people that know is that cats go for the jugular on a bigger animal. Um, I mean, I've seen pumas stalk without the llama or without the alpacas being alerted. With I mean, mountain lion are like the assassins of the mountains, meaning that they can sneak up on, like, you'd have like a mountain lion behind a llama within inches, and that llama will still be eating grass, not knowing that that mountain lion's about to shoot out of that grass. They call them pumas up there, but same animal. But I am excited to play this map. I will say there's other. I mean, I know they have like. I mean, I don't want to confirm it 100%, but I feel like Hunter Call the Wild have like a big roadmap. I mean, we have we have an official second map of South America. I mean, I feel like there's definitely other continents they can hit. Like many people, like for me, I think two really awesome reserves possibly someday is Antarctica and Mongolia. Those are my two. But ocelots, I'll show you what an ocelot looks like. So here's an ocelot. So they are nocturnal, meaning they hunt at night. They're also found in Texas as well. They are endangered in the US, so they're actually endangered here due to habitat loss, with populations now restricted to South Texas. They're found in the southwestern US through Central and South America. They prey on small animals like rodents, reptiles, and birds, and they're very skilled climbers and swimmers. But one of their unique abilities is they can turn their ankle joints to climb down trees head first. So in the US, there is fewer than 100 remaining in South Texas. So it makes sense they didn't. I mean, if there was a Texas map, I will say I'm kind of glad they're in this map where there's more of them. Whereas if they were to do a Texas map, I would not be. I mean, again, it would be a risk. But this is what an ocelot looks like. They're very beautiful cats. So our next animal is the taruga, which I'm pretty sure it's that weird species of deer. I have a funny taruga. Yep. So they so it's also known as the Andean deer. They live in the high altitude grasslands and scrublands of the Andes Mountains in South America. It is characterized by its stocky build, with males growing short, forked antlers. The species is classified as vulnerable due to threats like poaching and habitat loss, and it lives in small female led groups feeding on high altitude vegetation. They're listed as vulnerable globally by the IUCN, with some populations like Argentina considered endangered. So they're a but females lead the herd. Our next animal is a western mountain coati. Now, coatis are very unique animals. They've got a long pointed snout, a tail, four legs, but I feel like they are the trash pandas of South America. I will say, seeing them on YouTube interact with people, they love shiny objects. So if you have jewelry like a necklace, you better take it off before you enter a coati enclosure because they love shine. They're attracted to shiny objects. But they look like a cross between a raccoon and some sort of lemur. Um, but they're very coatis are very unique. Um, and they do bite. They do have sharp teeth. Our next animal is a greater Grison, which so Grison are very interesting. Which I will show you guys a Grison because I didn't know what this animal was, but it looks like a honey badger, and you'll see exactly why I think that. They are part of the weasel family. Um, uh, Here it is. So yeah, they look identical to what I feel like you would cross between a honey badger and it were to have a baby with a weasel or like something like a marten. You would get this animal here. But These guys are, I feel like, are definitely the badgers of South America, but they are in the weasel family Muscledae. They're known for their long bodies, short legs, and distinctive black and gray white coat. They're an agile hunter, skilled at running, climbing, swimming. They prey on small animals, reptiles, and birds, and can release a foul-smelling musk for defense. They live alone or in pairs in various forest and grassland habitats, often near water. They can switch between being diurnal, which is day active, and then nocturnal. But they vocalization, they make grunts, barks, and screams when threatened. They're native to Mexico, Central America, and South America. And our last animal, I will say, is another signature animal for the Amazon. I feel like, I mean, this is another big predator other than our jaguar, our speckled bear, and the ocelot, but we have the black caiman to end the list. Now, black caiman are a crocodilian. Caimans, I feel like, in their own category, are another apex predator other than the jaguar. Um, I would say there's one other animal I can think of that is native that I feel like would easily outbeat a caiman. That I feel like would hold the title, but I think a caiman's a good choice for this reserve. I mean, yes, we have other crocodilian. I mean, technically, the saltwater crocodile we only have in the Emerald Coast map, and then the alligators are in the Mississippi Anchors map. But again, I'm glad we have another crocodilian on the list. Because now we have three crocodilian species from different reserves, so it definitely, I think the caiman makes a nice fit. Um, and of course, they brought back four original species. Of course, the white-tailed deer, which most reserves are gonna have white-tailed deer. So like that is not a I mean there's the white-tailed deer, the peccary, which a peccary is a it looks like a wild boar, but I um they look like jumbo-sized javelinas from Arizona. Javelinas are another species similar. I think they're in the family as wild pigs, but peccaries are very beautiful, and I will say they're lesser known to come out. The colored peccary, I believe, is one of the returning species, and then the other one is the puma, which, as I said, the puma, we call them mountain lion here. Other places in the U.S. call them cougars. Pumas, are it's the same animal, so we have pumas again, which are in a lot of reserves as well. And there was one other animal. Oh, that's right. So the other one is the cinnamon teal, which is a species of duck. It's really interesting that like we don't have many bird species in this reserve. except for the return of the cinnamon teal, which kind of like it's very interesting because they added more like varmint animals, another crocodilian, and some more apex predators like the speckled bear, the jaguar. But as I said, the confirmed great one on this map is the jaguar. Makes sense. It's the iconic apex predator in that region. Um, I think even if they were to do like a great one puma, that would be cool too, especially to have or a speckled bear great one. Especially since this reserve covers the Andes Mountains and the Amazon rainforest. Because like the jaguar, I feel like would be a great one for the rainforest area, and then like the Andean bear would be a good great one for like the mountains, especially since it doesn't come out a whole lot, like they're very shy. But I'll show you guys what you're probably wanting to know, what does this Andean bear look like? All right, so we've got the Andean bear, but here's what they look like. They're very, but they're actually primarily herbivore, meaning they eat plants. Even though it says they're omnivores, primarily herbivores with a diet of plants are threatened by habitat loss, deforestation, and human conflict. But what a lot of people don't know, and this is actually a true fact, is that those of you that have watched the Paddington movies and the book, Paddington was actually an Andean bear. Adults can weigh up to 240 pounds. So another thing to consider is that um, attacks on humans with this bear are extremely rare. Um, they're highly elusive and generally they avoid, as I said before, they avoid contact with people. Most interactions occur when bears are raiding crops or killing livestock, but that's really the animal seeking for a food source, not but it says reported attacks are always being defensive in nature rather than predatory. But just like we see here with black bears, defensive behaviors and encounters occur. Mother and cubs, if an encounter occurs, it is most frequently it will be the reaction from the mom protecting her cubs, as we see most, because people here often state that they were involved in a provoked attack with a black bear, which is very unlikely. As I said, the only provocation I feel like any black bear would give out is if it was, in this case, a mother telling you that you're too close to her cubs. There is conflict with them for livestock, but again, when their vegetation is getting destroyed, they are going to rely on livestock. They're going to roll because bears will eat anything. And that's what many of those that I mean, bears aren't just carnivorous, they're not just herbivorous, they will eat anything. I feel like carnivores, yes, they will eat things by opportunity, but bears will do exactly that, but their diet expands. So their opportunity finding food is much more expanded because they're an apex predator. But you can, so people that hike in the Andes or in Ecuador, Peru, or Colombia, that's where this bear species resides. Meaning, you'll mainly find them. And they tell you obviously if you encounter a bear, you make noise while walking through while walking through dense vegetation to avoid startling a bear. Back away slowly. If you spot one, do not run, as this can trigger a chase instinct. Meaning that if you run, that bear is going to sprint in, into a chase instinct. Do not approach, harass, or attempt to corner any kind of animal bears included. But here, human fatalities, there is no documented unprovoked fatal attacks on humans by healthy Andean bears. The only recorded historical death involved a hunter who had already wounded the bear, shot the bear from a tree, which subsequently fell and killed him. So it sounds like when the guy shot the bear probably fell out of the tree, it was hurt, and so it didn't sound like it was the guy shot the bear, and the bear probably fell due because this guy probably either got a good shot into the bear, um, but it doesn't say that it clawed him. It said it fell and killed him. So it could have very well not have been. But as I said, these beautiful bears, I feel like, are just one of the most quietest, notorious species on the planet. Ooh. Hang on a second. Oh, yeah. The bear is attacking a calf. baby cow. There's a speckled bear. That's what these guys look like. But they are ancestors of the short-faced bear, which is, it's really remarkable. The markings on this bear just are very unique. Um, but yeah, anyways, guys, that will do it for the video. I am gonna end. But thank you all for watching, and always look out for any animal. Give an animal their space. Good advice. But good night, y'all.